Adequate notice of this meeting was advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Beacon on January 12th, 2023, and as amended on June 8th, 2023, and by posting the notice in the Forked River Post Office and the Lenoka Harbor Post Office, and by filing a copy of the notice with the Lacey Township Clerk as required by the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Here.
Mr. Conity? Mr. Armato?
Present.
Mrs. Claus?
Here.
Mr. Polino? Mr. Peters?
Present.
Mrs. Downing?
Here. At this time, turn the meeting over to Superintendent Prayer.
Okay, so I have a presentation, so I'm going to ask the board members to sit on the other side so that we can present the year-end district goals and board goals.
Take my
Alright, so the last time we met was in the library. We would have met in the library except that we were having a board meeting today and we were doing the preschool presentation. So I gave you a copy of the presentation, and then hopefully what you can't read, if there's anything you can't read, you'll be able to see it on the screen. So the last time we did an update was February 9th. And so we know that we have a academic goal, so 3 parts, NWA, Algebra 1, SAT. I'm going to get into all of those. We have a community outreach goal, a special education goal, and a facilities and finance goal. And then we have 2 board goals. So the first being to achieve board certification through the School Board Association's Academy program. So we're going to talk about that. And then the second goal was that we hold workshop sessions with no action taken quarterly, with a focus on training and or proactive planning. So I'll talk about that later. Okay, so let's start with NWEA. So back in February, what I shared with you was the structure, the actions, and then the follow-through. The actual goal being that by June 2023, there would be a 10% increase in the number of students in grades.
Sorry, you don't have to speak into it. It's just like I get it on the
Okay.
recording a little better.
Got it. Thank you. In the number of students in grades 5 through 8 meeting their projected growth goals on the spring 2023 math NWEA as compared to spring 2022. So when we're looking at these 2 groups, we know that we're talking about 2 different groups, kind of comparing apples to oranges. But then at the end of the presentation, or the end of NWEA conversation, I'm going to share what it looks like to compare cohort to cohort. All right, so the actions that we're taking is that our supervisors, our data coaches, our instructional coaches, we're going to analyze the data and prepare the projected growth report. So that's already happened. And that we would share the report, and that's what I'm doing tonight. So I didn't think that we were going to have these results in time. We just got them. So in my opinion, they still require some analyzation because that's what this entire packet is here. And that way we can make some recommendations on, first of all, identify the areas that need improvement and then talk about what steps we're going to take to improve. So this is what our data looked like back in February.
So we were expecting a 10% improvement. So everybody remembers this from February, right? So now let's take a look at where we are. So remember, our fifth graders are now our sixth graders. So we're not comparing the same groups of students. So back in February, we saw a 30% growth from fall to winter. Now we're talking fall to spring. So you can see that our fifth graders did not perform well at all. Our sixth graders went from 59 to 55%, or actually I shouldn't say it that way. I should say our sixth graders saw 55% growth. So fall to 21 to spring to 2022, they saw a 59% growth. This time we saw a 55% growth. So these are students meeting their projected growth. This isn't about passing. This is about meeting their projected growth. So we make predictions on what we expect to see, and then we take a percentage of how many of them actually met it. So question, Kim?
Well, yeah, so okay, for the purpose of the 10%, are we
Mhm.
saying fifth grade, we're looking at fifth graders, that's it? So it went from 30% to 29%. So instead
Well-
of 10%, it's a -1. That's how I think we intended the goal, not to follow it in sixth grade, saying,
Well,
because it's a
don't-
different test now.
Don't look at the middle column because that was their growth from fall to winter. Now we're looking at the final column, fall
spring
to
to
spring,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I just gave you that middle column because we
Okay.
were mid-year and that's all the data we had.
So in 2021, 22, the fifth graders had 51, and now this class has 29. Is that my?
Meeting their projected growth on the NWEA. That's very telling for us.
Different group, yeah.
Different group, but I'm going to show you what this means in terms of the same group. So we have a lot of work to do in fifth grade, a lot of work.
If you wouldn't mind,
Mhm.
can you explain to me if this was done, oh, I understand, yeah. You know, 21, 22, okay.
So now the sixth grade, 55% of them met their projected growth. Seventh grade, 58% met their projected growth, and in eighth grade, 59% met their projected growth. If we take the average, we're at 50.25, so this goal was not met. Now, let me show it to you from the same cohort to the same cohort. This is in your packets, by the way. So the fifth grade that you're looking at here was last year's fourth grade. In fall 21 to spring 22, 57% of them met their projected growth. Now 29 of the same students. So not only did we not improve, we slipped a lot. So something's going on. Well, we have theories. And this is where I said we just got these results. So now we have to take a hard look at what's going on. And then I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we all already know we have to do and some of the things we already have done that we haven't implemented yet. So now, the fifth graders, 51% of them met projected growth. So we saw some improvement with the same group of kids. Okay? Sixth grade, 59 to 58. So we lost a point. Seventh grade, 55 to 59. And now our current eighth graders took the Algebra 1 as ninth graders. 61% of them met their projected growth in Algebra 1. Our most current results, 62% of them met their projected growth. So when you look at the same cohorts of students, they're progressing, but our new grade alignments, fifth grade is not.
So we blame, I'm not using the word blame, do we look at the cause being a transition from?
That's
going
one
from-
of them, right?
So, oh, would it be middle school yet? That's still Mill Pond kids, right?
Going from fourth to Mill Pond.
And is
so-
there any data, any history that shows that that's been a historical trend?
This has been a trend, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that I'm going to mention without, again, having sat down and really analyzed the data is this model isn't going to exist next year. Those fifth graders are staying, and they're staying with their elementary generalists. So if we look at the trend over the past 5 years, this keeps happening over and over and over again. So something's happening in that transition. So by them staying as fifth graders in their elementary schools for one more year, if we see different results this time next year, we know that that was one contributing factor. The second is just looking at the data and looking at the teachers that are performing well, and then using those teachers to model with our instructional coaches, which unfortunately we're not going to have next year. We are going to have our data coaches. They're just going to work that much harder.
Well, let's look at history for a second, right? We have something, we have real live evidence, right? That we can look at elementary school kids going to Mill Pond and usually had a bad experience, whether you call it perception of the building itself or whatever the cause may be. So then, with the new kids now going into the middle school, and the middle school having such a great reputation, is it safe to say we might see some improvement in that because they're not going to the Mill Pond school, they're going to middle school?
I'm going to say yes, but we can't say that emphatically until we see
Right,
the
right.
results. The other thing is, we know that from the realignment, we have Mill Pond teachers now being dispersed amongst the elementaries. And if we have, you know, a Mill Pond teacher who's been teaching ELA, and all of a sudden we're asking that teacher to teach fifth grade math, that's going to require some professional development or alignment of certifications and where teachers are strong. And that's something that we're going to be talking about over the summer.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure, no, please.
So the
We have an
move
hour.
from fourth grade to fifth grade math, is it that substantial, or is it sort of like a seamless trend? Is it like, oh my God, I never did this before? Or is it sort of progression?
Great question. Math is linear, right? 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. It's different curriculum and a different delivery of instruction because of the, not curriculum, curriculum materials, different textbooks, different methodologies, and math is getting more complicated.
So, then, how's math getting more complicated? If 2 + 2 is still 4.
Well, because,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's
Is it
conceptually,
more complicated in the actual problems that they're being
yes.
asked to
Well,
solve
yeah,
that way?
because we're leading up to algebra now.
Okay.
Right, in preparation for Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Calculus, if students make it that far,
then
and that's what we're
wouldn't it be
hoping for.
A great workshop for our elementary school teachers
Absolutely.
and our middle school teachers to kind of get on the same page as to what the progression's gonna look like, so
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah,
of
that's a
get in line.
focus for this summer.
And not just for grade sake, but
Yeah.
for the actual students' sake of not taking a step back and actually moving in a trend. Okay, we all want positive numbers, but we also want kids that are learning.
Absolutely. And so the preliminary Algebra 1 results for NWEA, I'm happy to see 62% because we know that our next goal is to see if we experience this growth. Now, we don't have this data yet, but the goal is that students in grade 8, they took the NJSLA math assessment in spring of '22. The same cohort of students now are grade 9. I showed you NWEA. Now it's going to be interesting to see if the NWEA results align with the NJSLA results, because we're asking that this cohort of students, the same cohort, are going to, again, they just took the math assessment in the spring, and we're going to compare it to spring 2022 to measure the results, because what we want to see is that by June 2023, 15% of the same cohort of students will meet or exceed expectations. So that's right here. Right.
This was a 2-year goal, right, the algebra? Was that the 2-year goal or SAT?
No, the SAT, which I'll get to in a minute. So the action here is that, again, we were going to look at the data, and that the reports will be shared, but we don't have these results yet. We expect these July or August.
So, are the two exams or the 2 tests,
Mm-hmm.
are they vastly different? Is the math vastly different from,
No.
so it's pretty consistent?
Mm-hmm. And the
What
end.
does history show? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
What does history show from one test to another? Do we see a big jump or incremental jump?
You mean as the NWA compared to the NJSLS?
Yeah.
Well, the NJSLS, let me say it the other way around. The NWEA is, I'm not going to even say supposed to be aligned with the NJSLS. It is aligned. The only difference is that the NWEA is intuitive. So students will take that test, and every time they answer correctly, it goes on to the next question, and then the next question. And then the minute they enter a wrong response, it tries a couple more times, and then it stops. Because the test knows that this is the student has reached as far as he or she can go. The NJSLS does not do that. Students take the entire test, but there's a different way of scoring it, meaning that it's kind of like the SATs. Some questions are scored, some are not, whereas the NWA just stops.
So would that be, is it safe to say that they score on a trend of how far a student can get versus how many they can get right?
How many they can get right, the test keeps going.
My point saying, let's say I get, I don't know, I get a test and it has 50 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I do all 50 and I get a grade
Mhm.
based on the average per question, right? On this one, it allows me to keep going until I get one wrong with
Right.
several attempts to try to
Mhm.
get the right answer. So would that grade be considered a trend grade, like?
A valid grade?
Not valid, because it's always valid, right?
Right.
Right and wrong is always valid. But my question is, this student got a 98 on this test, but got 40% of this test correct. What's the delta here?
So I think
How
what-
do we-
I think
What
you're
do
looking
we
for
do together?
predictive. Is their performance on the NWA predictive of how they're going to perform on the NJSLS? Yes,
Okay,
yes.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I'm
Okay.
trying to rattle in my brain here.
I don't want to go backwards, but 2021 was, we were in school or out of school?
So 2020, March of 2020 was COVID.
Okay.
So we closed, and then we closed the rest of the year,
Right,
and then we opened on a hybrid.
in September?
In September. We started to open slowly in November, but it wasn't until January that we started coming back in. And then we were still wearing masks, and then I think the masks came off in March. Yeah,
I feel like we should have met that goal, the first goal, because we're in school.
Right.
Where the other year we weren't.
right. Well, we have to factor in learning loss, though.
Learning loss,
Yeah.
But if you compare the 19, which we didn't even look at, but like,
Mhm.
so then to 20, which was
Mhm.
COVID year,
Mhm.
to now 21,
Mhm.
right? Or
Mhm.
22 or whatever. It should be really jumping. This last test should have really just been through the roof because
Mhm.
they were here.
Well,
The same grade. I'm not talking about 5th to 6th or 4th to
right.
5th.
The same cohort of kids.
The same grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're seeing minor gains in the other grades. It's fifth grade. Fifth grade is
Foundation.
where,
Maybe some kids, if they were that young, they needed to be in front of people, so if they had to move on to the next, and remember in one of the sessions that he said, you kind of keep going, right?
Mhm.
They don't really, they stop, but they can't just stop everything, they have to hit certain levels.
Yeah.
So if you don't get the, math is hard, if you don't get the basic foundation, you have to go to the next thing, you really get lost.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's it, I'm just saying that could
Yeah.
be,
Well, that's one of the things we're going to look at.
hard to get to the next if you don't master the first.
Right. So these
I'm
results
sorry,
are going to
that's
be
one
interesting.
question.
Go ahead.
Kids don't like taking this test, right?
Which one? The NJSLS?
Either one.
No, they don't like
I
it.
have a pretty smart kid at home, and he like frowns when we have to take that test.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any factual number that we have that says, okay, based on their non-enthusiasm for this test, we know we're not gonna score as well because of the popularity of the exam, or the non-popularity of the exam? Is there a number that gets thrown? So they don't even take that into account?
How does this correlate to their real grades? And what I mean by that is, yes, you're right, we have a son who does very well in math, I don't know if he does that well in the tests.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you looked at his grades versus how his tests are, he might do very well, I don't know, but it might be higher in classroom than it is on a test. Nobody looks at that.
No, teachers look at that.
They do look at that, but it doesn't
Absolutely.
reflect in not the percentage that you're looking at.
Well, so that's what we are going to look at, and
Okay.
I have the results. Now we have to start comparing. But sometimes there is no correlation, because sometimes, and we know kids are just not good test takers. So they might have really good grades, but if they're not a good test taker and they haven't taken any prep classes like the SAT prep, they're not going to do well, because they say, right? For the SAT, a lot of it isn't what you know, it's test-taking strategy. And if they're not good at that, they're not going to perform well, which is why when we get to the SAT, these are some interesting results that set our baseline. So it proves a theory to exactly what you're talking about. So when we look at the SAT goal, I went over the timeline. The goal is that, and again, going back to baseline, right? So in October 2022, we sponsored all juniors participating in the PSAT. So every single junior took it. So the students' results were provided in early 2023. Then we said, okay, so based on those results, we're going to personally tailor tutoring, and we're going to make it available to the juniors utilizing a variety of different factors, their College Board accounts, Khan Academy, and our certificated high school staff. They're going to then take the SAT in the spring of 23, which they have, and I'll go over the results. And we're going to take a look at, of those kids that utilized the personally tailored tutoring, did we see an improvement? Okay, so that's the goal. So there's our timeline, right? So they took it in October. The scores are released to the schools. They're released to the students and the families. Then they're selected to participate, or they elect to participate in the SAT Prep Pilot Program, which you're going to see the acronym SPPP, which is the acronym for the pilot program. Then from February to April is when they're in the pilot program. Then they're going to take the SAT in April. Some of them did also take it in May, and some of them also did take it just recently on June 3rd. But the results I have for you tonight are from April 25th, okay? All right, so this was just informational. All right, so here we are, right? So I copied the two most important things, that they were going to engage in the pilot program and that they took the SAT in April. So 48 of them expressed interest in the program, the pilot program. 40 of them actually participated. Now we're talking a pool of 60. So we're starting at 60, okay? 48 expressed interest, 40 participated. 21 of them completed the program with at least 8.5 hours of SAT prep through Khan Academy, or going through the classes that were set up with the teachers. Remember, we board approved this a while back. Of those 21 students, 13 completed the SAT school day in April. So this was a whole day of test-taking strategy. So the results, a little hard to see here, but I did include this in your packet. So if you want to follow along here, it's a little bit easier. So again, remember our pool is 60. Okay, so if you take a look at that far left column, that's the student identifier. So they're just numbers, right? So in that very first line, their PSAT score was 900. Their predictive score was a 945. This particular student scored a 990, which means that they gained 4.76% points by participating in the pilot program. I'm not going to read all of them to you, but you can see the second student experienced a 9.11% growth. The next student was a negative 3.63, so didn't see growth. The next student, IP4, experienced a 2.43% increase. Now, the categories there are important because this is what's going to tell us what worked and what didn't work. These first four students did all in person along with online, okay? The next group, I'm sorry, the top just did in person. The second group of students did both in person and online. And you're gonna see every single one of those students experienced a gain. So that's our strongest category. And then the last two students did only online. One did well, one did not. So very, very interesting results, because when we get to the fall of next year and we share this data with our students and our families, and Dr. Purpura is going to do that, we're going to say, if you really want to improve on the SAT, this is what you need to do. You need to attend in person and online, and we're not going to call it a pilot anymore because now we're going to be in year 2 of our SAT prep program. So the model in the middle is working. So what we're suggesting is that we bring in more staff for both ELA and mathematics, for the in-person piece of it, which is number one. And what we're saying is to increase likelihood of program completion, we return to an old model, and some of you may remember this, Linda, I know you definitely do, is to charge $50 and then refund if they participate. Because we all know that if there's an incentive, and maybe $50 isn't enough, maybe we need to explore a little bit more. You know, $50 was 10 years ago. But if there's an incentive, you're going to attend. So for example, and I use this example all the time, if you pay for a professional development session and you pay $150 and it's gonna happen in 2 months, chances are you're gonna go to that professional development session. You've just invested $150. If you just signed up for it, it was a free webinar and you don't have to go and, you know, you're not as invested. So if we start tacking on money here,
How long were the classes and how many did we offer to get that improved?
I'd have to go back to my notes to get the specifics, and I can definitely share that. I know that the one day in April was an all-day Saturday event, but the in-person, I'm almost certain it was 2 days a week. And there was an embedded daytime while they were in school, so you're not forcing them to go to after school because they're involved in, yes,
Somewhere.
Can I ask
yes,
a question?
absolutely.
My concern would be, I know it's a pilot program,
Mm-hmm,
projected 48,
Mhm.
when it showed up, and then the number even reduced more. after
right,
that.
dwindled.
With all the schools now openly putting it out on their website that SATs aren't required,
Mm.
do we find this maybe being a path that may be short-lived and,
Well,
or?
I don't think so either.
The trend, you have to have like a 3.7 to not submit your SATs, and what's happening is these schools are accepting kids that aren't up to par, because so they could go to a school that just gives out really great, versus a school that's harder and has lower grades, but has great SATs. So,
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
yeah, so let's just say, I'll pick a school, I'm just gonna make it up, FDU, okay. Actually, no, the one in Maryland, when Ashley went, it was SAT optional. So she had, to be SAT optional, you have to have 3.7 GPA.
Or you have to have at least a
They
GPA?
did there, and that's usually the trend.
Is that before COVID or after?
It was way before,
Mhm.
but
Right.
there was a percentage that you could take. Now there's a whole list. Before there was maybe 30 schools, now there's tons.
See, now that's scary, because
Yeah.
what's happening now, being that we've been active in it in the last 3 years.
They're not as invested.
they
They're
don't
not, but
even
what's
care.
happening are the schools are accepting these kids that aren't up to par, and now they're seeing that the kids can't keep up. So they
And they're
might
in
very
remedial
well
classes.
bring back that SAT.
Well, that's why I'm asking,
But yeah,
because
Mhm.
is
They're
this,
having parents pay for it.
is this, do we see this
Right.
growing
Yeah, some-
because of what colleges and universities are requiring now?
Well, if colleges, or actually I should say, if parents continue to be okay with paying for remedial classes, then the trend isn't going to change.
Correct.
So,
That's a good
and
point.
remediation at the college level is not a new thing. We're just seeing more and more. I just read an article that remedial classes are at an all-time high, all-time high.
Well, maybe they're not taking their SATs, and they're
Yeah.
taking in kids they shouldn't.
But to Sal's point, yes, and to Sal's point, yes, so the point of the pilot is to grow the program. And then Kim, to answer your question, so option one, the online students did just online, and they got email check-ins from their teachers. The online with some in-person meetings, the students met 1 to 2 times a week with the teacher after school. And then and with some embedded instruction during a day. And then option 3 was in-person only. The students met with their teachers 2 times a week with 1 day of embedding. And then the 4th, the student just said, I'm flexible, I have no preference. They could bounce in and out. But now that we have this data, we saw 5.95% overall increase. So it worked. But now we need to increase the participation and then increase that 5.95.
Is there a plan besides just word of mouth, and how we're gonna increase participation? Are we gonna have an SAT day or a sign up for SAT day?
Well, yeah, so add more teachers to the program, more availability, and then free up teacher schedules to be available to embed this during the school day. Because again, just like the money, kids are more invested if they're doing it during the day and not have to do it after school.
So you know you have a
But,
preschool,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you know there's a preschool meeting right now to let the parents know.
Mhm.
I remember prior to COVID, I was sitting here and Mr. Zelinski, remember that? He was talking about, I was all excited, I was gonna enroll my daughter into the program, and then like, literally that week, COVID came. So are you gonna do something like that again? Do you
For
think that-
SAT,
do you do that
absolutely,
again?
yep,
Okay.
in the fall.
So
Yeah.
the parents know, I think
Yeah.
it's more helpful.
So here, my concern is 1, 2, and 3 have been tested. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, how many juniors?
Off the top of my head,
On an
let's call it 300.
40% on a
Mhm.
sample, 40 of them on a
Yeah.
pilot program. How do we create more excitement behind that besides just the parents saying, you gotta go because I spent $50
Yeah.
and I want that money back? So how do we create an in-school day program, something to build that, or even make it part of the day? Because if we can get that 40 up to 180,
Mhm.
220, 240,
Right.
those are real nice numbers to work with, and then you can monitor incremental growth year over year.
Right. Well, I mean, resources, right, is tough when we're letting teachers go, instructional coaches go.
What was the freshman, it was a class that they had to take.
CCR,
What is that? It was like a
It's like-
freshman,
yeah, it's,
and it was, every quarter was a different
mhm.
quarter.
Like a
different
rotator.
Topic.
yeah,
What was that? Freshman something.
freshman focus.
Focus.
Yeah,
Maybe do a senior or junior focus.
Right.
And have everybody, if they have interest in college, because some people don't, do that junior focus, you know,
Yeah.
and alternate.
yeah,
A whole semester, a whole.
lots of
market.
ideas. So we're gonna revisit this
Yeah.
and, you know, decide, make some decisions. Yeah, go ahead.
One, out of that 48, do we know how many students attended OCC?
I'm sure I have that, just not on me.
Involved, calculated in there?
Yeah.
Possibly, going to OCC for a year, 2 years, we got their,
Yeah.
that helped advance that.
Can I borrow your pen? Some data points I'm gonna look up.
Number 2, so when we just had the facilities committee meeting, the gentleman there that Synergistic is working for Synergistic said to us, we can't give you solid numbers yet on the savings due to the fact that the year prior, your boiler was old and now we're replacing it with more efficient one. So we can't compare apples to apples to give you numbers on the savings. That makes sense? You can't say, hey man, 2021 we used $10,000 in natural gas, but already we're seeing we're only down to 8 because we've changed the units out. I kind of feel the same way with this with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because with growth, correct, growth, we talked about the first chart, the 5th and 6th graders,
Mm-hmm.
this is a time for you guys to shine, because those kids are at an old time low.
Right.
Being home for a year and a half, whatever that time frame was, and I was really expecting to see those numbers this year through the roof. That's what I was hoping to see.
I wasn't, we were not. We needed to give it another year. Yeah.
Right. The other thing is too,
Yeah,
rather than, I agree with the SAT prep work, I think that's a phenomenal idea, but you have kids in sports, you have kids at work,
Mhm.
that still want to go to college, kids that are watching junior at home for mom and dad babysitting, and, whatever might be can't make it. What are we doing curriculum-wise that will have a stronger curriculum here for SAT schools?
yeah,
Well, you're just making it harder in class.
yeah. You mean raising the bar for instruction?
For basic
Well,
instruction curriculum during the day,
We're seeing that in our NWEA, like 5th grade needs a complete look to see.
Right.
Maybe we have the wrong curriculum materials.
right, well, we're talking about, bringing more SAT time in prep, but
Right,
on the basic curriculum itself, we need to start implementing something more towards not, don't want to teach the test. Nobody wants to do that, and that's a horrible thing, and teachers in the past, hey, gotta get our scores up. Been there, done that, right, Linda? Right, the guys start teaching the, I don't want that to happen.
yeah,
But we should somehow, implement something like that. Or, honestly, these kids are an investment to us, right? And the higher they get on that SAT score, the better school they're getting, the more scholarships they're gonna get. And that's our duty and our job as the board
yep,
to make sure that. So let's find a high-end SAT prep course, you know, like, the teachers that taught this, did they take a class? Did they go to PD?
Yes.
What did they do to teach this?
Well, they're using College Board, so
What's
the,
that?
so it's the same prep that, the two just went right out of my head, not Huntington, right out of my head. The two big SAT prep programs, they're using those prep programs that College Academy makes available to the teachers, and they've been doing it for years. Now, we're using different teachers this year, because sometimes you just need change of scenery in what you're teaching. So, and yes, they all participate in professional development.
So,
Why can't I think of the company?
Shouldn't we then stop training our students to take the New Jersey test and prepare them for real life after they graduate from here? So SAT for me sounds more important than the state funded test.
Well, but it's not an option. We
I
have
know,
to. I wish we didn't have
But my
to.
question
I'd
is,
abandon them in a
we're teaching
heartbeat.
kids how to take this test
Yeah.
so they can get good numbers for the district.
Mhm.
Who's to say if we taught them just how to do math, how to read, how to
That
write,
would improve automatically.
that it wouldn't improve our state scoring exam numbers?
Well, theoretically, that is,
Yeah.
yeah, that is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because test-taking strategies are important, but if you don't know the material, you don't know the material. Doesn't matter how good you are at
Right,
test-taking
right.
strategy.
So, Mike, I guess, and I think I'm on track here with you, I may take a little bit of redundant, is shouldn't the emphasis and the focus be on old school learning? You know?
Yes.
Books.
Yeah.
Textbooks.
Pen and paper, scrap paper, show me how 2 + 2 is 4,
Yeah,
No.
you know?
yeah,
Carry
absolutely.
one. Break-
Yeah,
close
back to
this down.
basics.
You know, improper fractions, reciprocals, I can remember it all, I can't believe
Yeah, but
it.
didn't we just switch to something that's kind of all computer now, that we talked about in that meeting, they want the kids to take the test on computers online, so that kind of goes.
Well, the NWEA is an online test.
They still need to know how to use this.
They're not, little kids aren't using that anymore,
Yeah.
they're doing it on computer, right?
Right.
So that's gotta be,
Well, we say that, remember, these kids were born with devices in their
yeah.
hands.
For me, that was
We're
very
old
difficult.
school. Doesn't make it right, wrong, or,
What's our SAT average?
I don't have that right now. I'd have to get
But
that.
those are good numbers. Those aren't jokeable numbers. Those are real good numbers.
Yeah.
Especially in that one middle section, I forgot what it was called.
Here? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot of
That was
growth,
pretty impressive numbers. I mean, if we can do that year over year,
right? And affect more kids.
yeah.
This is some good data.
Well, that's why I think more important than a successful pilot, congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
would be to really increase that enrollment.
Yeah, yeah, enrollment.
Strictly volunteer,
Mm-hmm,
what I'm worried about is we got 300 kids graduating, only 48 of them.
right.
It was a pilot program.
I know, but
That's what I'm trying to say.
that's what I'm
To the
saying.
people that aren't doing it.
Class.
Yeah,
Only if you're interested in going to college,
yeah.
right?
Well-
Not everybody goes to college.
Right.
Only if you're interested in going to
But
college.
if you-
A lot of kids don't know they can go to college because they don't think they're smart enough, but if we encourage them.
Right.
I think it's just people just want to be plumbers and electricians.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So we know this worked, especially that middle section. So if that worked, then maybe we can apply this model to something other than the SAT.
Can we make it an elective, or does it
I
have
was
to be?
thinking that.
Like, just
Possibly.
as an elective to graduate and
Yeah.
then make it in their junior year?
Yeah, I mean, we were thrilled with these results. Now we're like, okay, how do we make this better?
Make it part of your.
This is gonna sound corny, but it's amazing how these things work.
Yeah,
We put a table in the freaking lobby and say, sign your kid up for SAT exams today.
and force it on
Now
them.
they sign up for PTA, PTO. Oh, $10, sure, I'm in. What do I get, a T-shirt, what do I get, a cup? Come and sign your kid up for the SAT prep.
That's an idea,
Back to school night,
yeah,
great idea.
yeah.
And
Have,
take credit cards.
And we
I
take,
think we should charge, I think it should be in the curriculum, their junior year,
I like curriculum too, if you could do it.
because that way,
Both.
Yeah.
that way,
Both.
they- you know, as like a elective,
Right.
you know.
We can
and
do that.
during, and embedding it in the school day, I think is really important. Yeah,
So you could actually make that a lot of
Yeah, that's it.
if we can from a resource standpoint, because we just let so many teachers go. We just have to make sure we have enough bodies teaching the different sections.
So make it SAT prep,
Yeah,
and,
so we'll keep going with this goal
This is
and
a-
try to
this is
grow
a
it.
win.
Yeah, yeah, we were really, really happy with this. I'm just watching times because we gotta be done by 6. All right, so,
Meeting an SAT option course?
Do I have notes on it? I haven't thought about it, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we'll revisit this in curriculum over the summer, for sure. But again, I'm just watching times, we can get through the whole thing. The rest of it is, I'm not gonna say easy, but I'll go a little quicker. So, you know, one of our goals was to have more listen and learns. So unfortunately, well, fortunately and unfortunately, the March 21 virtual date was the best attended. The June 5th, not so much. We only had one person attend. But it's a busy time of year, and we get that. But for me, what it tells me is that in the fall, have virtual, so do 2 in October, 1 in person, 1 virtual. If nobody's showing up for the in-person, then I'll just keep having the virtual. Yeah, the PTA presidents, I think, was the most successful because I always had representation from each of the schools. And we talked about a lot. I mean, there was the May 10th one, we were on the call for an hour and a half. Got a lot of good feedback, a lot of good insight. And what's great about the PTA presidents is that they share the information that we discussed in the Listen and Learns at their PTA meetings, and then they brought things to me that was discussed in their meetings, building level. And then I met with various groups of students 4 times this year. Again, learned a lot, learned things I probably didn't want to learn. But it was good conversation with the students. And then I did a lot of staff listen and learns. And then I have 2 coming up on the 14th and 15th. And I did that by building. They weren't mandatory meetings. And I'm going to say that right up until June 7th, I had more than 80% of the staff attend. So, yeah, this was really good. And they, what's that?
Do the principals go?
The principals are there. Yeah, the district supervisors attended most of them with me, and Will was there for 99% of them. And then at the end here, some of these, I'm also recognizing our retirees. They're getting the Lacey plate. So, yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah?
Community outreach, I know it's not the attendance that you're looking for. But what if community outreach wasn't just you, but maybe one of the PTA presidents, maybe a student of the month, maybe the president of the student council, and parents can, no offense, but they might think they're getting a canned answer from you. Let me ask the students what they really think. Let me ask.
Good way to,
the PTA
to expand.
the way they think
Borrow your
in
pen
school.
again?
And maybe that'll increase attendance because maybe they feel like now we're gonna get some real answers by the people who are in the trenches. Not they don't think you're in the trenches.
Yeah. No, I
You're
understand.
protecting a reputation, right? Let's call it that.
Yeah.
But bringing a couple of people, even the lunch people, maybe bring them in. The topic of the
Yeah.
conversation one month is lunch.
Joe did attend a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would create more attendance. I don't know, let's say a soccer team won a championship. Bring
Yeah.
the coaches on.
So maybe
Might
some
have
bragging
parents who
nights.
just want to say congratulations, coach.
Yeah.
Oh, while I'm here, Dr. Pereira, I got a question for you.
Yeah. Yeah, good idea. Good way to expand. Yeah. So I'll continue these for sure for next year. But maybe change it up a bit. Always looking for ways to change it up. So I have to say this, I know Linda, this was near and dear to your heart. We did amazing work with these committees, so let me just talk a little bit. So the goal was by June 2023 to develop a special education advisory committee made up of parents, staff, and students to meet quarterly to explore different programs that will encourage special ed students to interact more regularly with their gen ed peers. So back in February, I showed some of the things that were going on, especially at the high school and the middle school. So we've seen a lot of integration, a lot more willingness for our gen ed students to interact with our special ed students. And that, I have to say, is solely the child study team that got this 18 to 21-year-old program off the ground, the career and the life room. Thank you, the life skills room.
When was this advisory committee first implemented, and when was the first actual meeting?
When was it implemented? Well, we started talking about it at the beginning of the year, and they started having their first meetings in January. I'm going to say late December, early January. Because first, and I think I have it on one of the slides, this was what I showed you in February, is that Joe sent out interest emails, like who's interested in participating. And we had quite a few child study team members step up, but we needed more. So Joe and Margaret Malloy started the PLCs. He expanded the Unified Club Advisors. Ms. Watson facilitated a buddy program. Preschool teachers working with the consultant on fostering an inclusive environment. So that was back then. So what have we done since then? So again, based on the number of responses that Joe received requesting to be part of the committee, he formed 3 subcommittees. Staff members volunteered to chair the committees, and one was assigned to each of the 3 branches to act as a facilitator. And then the remaining staff members were assigned to each subcommittee based on what they were interested in. So of this, what did he do? So here, let's see if I can do, what was it? Alt-tab, right? The 3 subcommittees were instruction, inclusive culture, and extracurricular activities. So let's take a look at instruction. So, oh, wrong one. Yeah. So here you have the chair and then the different staff members who identified strengths, identified challenges, and I'm going to share these with you in, I think I already have, but I will share them again so that you can read through them. Then they did different activities, came up with different objectives, and then came up with strategies. So you'll see objective 1 was to provide support and training for all teachers and staff who work with students, special ed students, to provide general special education training for general education teachers who sometimes need that capacity, because if you're not working with special ed students, you just never have that experience. And then the third objective was to provide training for all elementary teachers on effective and appropriate ways to adopt standards-based report cards for our special education teacher. So Joe reports that, and this is the first year of doing this, so there's a long way to go, but it's a step in, definitely in the right direction. So they found different videos, different instruction, they asked really good questions. So that's from an instruction standpoint, and these committees will continue next year. Now, there's probably gonna be some shifting because of the realignment. So that's instruction, and then inclusive environment. Nope. I'll find it. This is extracurricular activities. So the chair was middle school teacher Laura Hirsch, and she identified the strengths and then the challenges, and she worked with a committee trying to come up with different activities and getting over some of these barriers like transportation, notification. You know, special education students are sometimes in self-contained classes and getting lost in the sauce. And really that's one of the main reasons why we even did this to begin with. So this buddy program was very successful. And you know, we know that Challenger League right now is only offered at Lacey Township High School, so why not expand that to the middle school? Special Olympics, why only have it at the high school? You know, my uncle who's Down syndrome was part of Special Olympics since he was 5. So why are we only doing it at the high school? And so then they're offering some objectives here, some strategies, you know, explore offering inclusive classes instead of adaptive classes for PE. You know, adaptive PE is huge, but why are we calling it adaptive? Why aren't we calling it inclusive adaptive? And then develop initiatives and opportunities for our special education students that are in self-contained classes to get out more and be more in the least restrictive environment. So there are lots of accomplishments there. And then the third prong, which I thought that was extracurricular. There, inclusive culture. So Dawn Watson is the facilitator for this subcommittee. Again, identified strengths, identified challenges. I will share these with you. And then objectives, to assure all teachers are included in all grade level meetings, special ed and regular ed, to assure all students are included in all gen ed activities during the school day, and then to assure students are given ample opportunities to work and play with the rest of their classmates. So lots of progress and more attention than we've ever spent on this topic. So I'm really happy with these results, and obviously it's not going to be a goal for next year, but just because it's not a goal doesn't mean we stop doing it.
Are the parents happy?
Very happy, yeah. In fact, I didn't include it because Joe just updated today, but his last CPAG meeting was on June 6th, and it was outstanding, the feedback, and we've come a long way. Yeah, yeah. They did, yeah, yeah. We're really happy with the results of this. All right, so then coming back, so that's our special ed goal. And then we get to the fourth goal, which is our grant writing committee and grant opportunities, which I will share with you. I think these are still working. So we know that Jason Bedell, who's our assistant BA, continues to fill up this this document, but the one that I really wanted to show you was, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it all that well, but we've been talking about this in facilities, finance, and curriculum, but we have been applying for a lot of grants. The one that we're waiting for right now, we're sitting on the edge of their seats. Sharon, which was the 1.3 million?
Go back to your left and then go down.
Down. Is this one. So this is $1.3 million. Only 15 school districts are being awarded this grant. Hi. Oh, we're just talking about board goals and district goals. Yeah. Yeah, no. But you can see from this list, and I've shared this document with all of you, there are a lot of grants that we found, a lot that we've been awarded. So we're going to continue. I just sent Jason 2 of them today, and we're just going to keep going, which, you know, goes in line with the question, that we ask here is, what do we do now? And so we just keep going. And is that rain?
Yeah, it's just starting.
Oh, I thought it was getting really dark.
They said there were thunderstorms.
Yeah. And then the other prong of this is reunification training and the reunification plan, which we were just at Ocean County College, so now we know, and I probably shouldn't be saying this because I'm being recorded, but we have a reunification plan. We'll talk about that in our committees. And we do have alternate sites for our, if we have to evacuate our students to that place. And what we're going to do over the summer is actually practice as if we had an event where, and we're going to do it with a bus, and we're going to pretend that our staff are our students, and we're going to do an actual reunification. And if you all want to be a part of it and you're available, we'd love to have you. So that's the follow through, visit and train at the site. So we visited, now we have to train. So lots of great things there. All right, and then our board goals. So we had to tweak this a little bit because, well, I'll go through it in a minute. And then goal 2 is our workshop sessions, which I have to say, we did a really good job having our workshop sessions this year. But let's talk about the first goal. We have 4 minutes. To earn 16 credits of group training within a 4-year period. So where are we now? So as of February, we had 10.5 credits. We need 5.5 more to go. We were scheduled for May 18th, but Marianne couldn't attend, was it? Yeah. So July 19th, we are tentatively scheduled for a board retreat. And our topic is going to be goal setting for 23-24. And to go over the board self-evaluation will earn us 3.5 credits. Wow. Wow.
You're lucky you're here.
And then,
My hand.
and then August 14th, Marianne will come back and do an ethics and roles and responsibilities training for 2 credits. That will get us there. So we're hoping we can celebrate that at the August board meeting. And then our workshop sessions were November 3rd, February 9th, April 6th, and July 19th will count as a workshop session.
You waited till August 1st, right?
Sooner than what?
August 14th, like that's when we start school.
Okay.
For the-
Okay, we can explore different dates.
Maybe the beginning of August.
Yeah,
I'm around, 'cause we get that.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know, it's gonna be around that. I don't wanna-
okay.
Let's just keep up.
All right,
I thought you meant me.
that's it. 2 minutes to spare. Oh, so what's next? District Board Goals Development for the 23-24 school year. That's in July. Yeah.
Make sure, everyone, make sure you do the self-evaluation.
Yes.
On school board. I didn't do mine yet.
I haven't. July 19th, that's here, right? School, right?
Yeah, that's a regularly scheduled board meeting, right?
When you say retreat, I was like, oh,
Oh, no, it's in the library.
I know. Rob Riggs always used to say he didn't want to go camping.
That's what it sounds like.
So yeah, we'll look at some other dates. Mind your way?
Yeah, but it's gonna be hot soon.
I don't think, oh,
I think we're having a good crowd tonight. What do you think?
You think with that rain, maybe not.
all right. Private?
All right.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go into executive session.
Can we make a motion?
Do a rain dance?
We're carrying on with the meeting right now?
All right, we're gonna go into executive session. Be it resolved that an executive session be convened for the purpose of discussing confidential student matters, included but not limited to harassment, intimidation, and bullying, confidential legal matters, including but not limited to the current caseload, confidential personnel matters. The subject matter of these discussions will be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality subsides. The length of the executive session is estimated to be approximately 60 minutes, after which the board shall reconvene and proceed with business at 7 p.m. Action may be taken. Motion?
Wait, Sharon, I thought we were adding contracts. What?
Because they're not confidential.
Should we talk in public with those?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion?
Motion, Peters.
Second. Out of mind.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to resume our meeting from the private session. Since we do not have our high school representatives here, I'm going to immediately turn the meeting over to our superintendent.
Thank you, President Downing. So Mrs. Downing's wondering why we have some special guests in the audience. So before I even go on with my comments, I'm going to ask Mr. Peters to go to the podium for a special recognition for somebody who's been with us for a very, 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 very long time.
Let's remind me not to trip down the ramp because everybody else usually does when they're done. Good evening, everyone. As a board member, we get to sit in those seats in the dais and watch students receive awards almost every meeting. But tonight, I was given the privilege to give out a very special award to a very special person. When I say the word special person, I should also mention that I'm currently having the privilege to serve on the school board with some very special people that are also board members. Let's look at Mrs. Amato. She received an award that not many can accomplish. She ran 100 miles from Key Largo to Key West. Not only did she do it, she did it in 32 hours?
31.
31 hours, my bad.
Actually 30.
And won for her age group, correct? Let's look at Mr. Amato. He was there supporting her entire way, changing out her socks, and making sure she was eating everything properly, and helping her out through the whole entire way. Frank Polino received an award. Frank Polino received an award last week for an act of personal heroism. On his way to work, he witnessed a vehicle that flipped over on the side of the road. He pulled over immediately, pulled off his suit jacket, and ran and helped the man out and rescued him. He received an award, I believe it's called the 200 Club, last week in Toms River. Then we have Mrs. Claus, who fundraised over $100,000.
300,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, $300,000 for lights so we can have Friday Night Lights. On a side note, she also won an award for finding the last pair of Prada shoes at the Shore Hills Mall. Then you have Mr. Conity, a man that's busier than me, a fire chief, dad, husband, just all around a great person. I'm sure he's received some type of award, but I don't know him well enough to know which one he got. Now, let's talk about the Queen. When you hear the name Linda Downing, you think of a person that has dedicated her life to education. Tonight, I'm glad to announce that we're awarding her an award that has not been achieved by many, if any at all. Tonight, we're giving an award for Linda for 30 years service to the Lacey Township School Board. Through the years, your talents and efforts have helped the success of over 9,000 graduating students that came through the district. We take pride in your accomplishment, your commitment to excellence. I've been on the school board for approximately 5 years. I've missed numerous family events, changed my personal plans due to emergency meetings, have had family vacations changed due to the school schedule or the school board schedule. I can't imagine the amount of how many dinners were missed, telling friends, sorry, I can't make it, taking phone calls on a Sunday, or excusing yourself from the dinner table to handle a problem. Linda's been chosen several times to be board president, asked to be on numerous committees, and as elected chairperson of numerous committees numerous times. I've witnessed a few people from the public stand at this podium and say to those people on the school board need to be fired. We spend way too much money on their salary. For those who think we get paid, guess what? We do. We get paid to see the change in a curriculum that as a board felt the content was inappropriate. We get paid to see a change in a policy we didn't think was up to par to our standards. We get paid by previewing a book that we felt was inappropriate content from the library. And the biggest paycheck of all, we get to see the success of a student, whether it be an award for students winning a competition or academically in sports. I've heard numerous rumors from different people, she's been there way too long. Guess what? You're wrong. This woman brings a passion like no one else, and she has experience as a teacher, a supervisor, an administrator, and other careers in education. As Vice President of Lacey Township School Board, I'd like to congratulate Linda Downing and thank her for 30 years service.
Thank you.
One more accolade. I don't know if you realize or not, but I've learned some things. She's a huge music buff. And there's a place down in Tuckerton called Lizzie Rose Music Room. And the board made a collection. We went down and got our nice little gift certificate and a little sweatshirt for her. But while I was there, they actually almost had to throw me out because the music was awesome. I sat there for like 20 minutes listening after I got the gift certificate. So if you get a chance, stop down there. But thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
And Linda, on behalf of all of us, we have not a silver plate, even though I know you covered it plate and not a plate, but this is for you. Thank you. Your family is here, and some of your former colleagues, Starda, yeah, I mean,
plans this week, Deborah?
Congratulations.
So 30 more. Yeah? Her family's going, no. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. Ms. Starter, I want to thank you for being here because even though I've been part of the Lacey community for a long time, I think you worked far longer with Mrs. Downing than I did. So I know Linda appreciates you being here. So you are more than welcome to all stay for the rest of the meeting, but you don't have to. So I am just going to, I don't have a lot of comments. So is anybody leaving? I will give you the opportunity to leave. All right. How about I let you go and hang out with your family and give them hugs, and then I'll keep going.
All right.
I didn't even see Mr. Mirandy here. What?
They all
When did you sneak in? You weren't there a few minutes ago.
Thank you for your service.
Hey, good to see
You know, you guys are the only people on the ballot in November that don't get paid.
Bruce Padula, good to see you.
Hi, nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about you.
I'm sure all that good, but
No, all good.
good 4 days. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You gonna stay with us?
All right.
Okay, all right, so congratulations once
Thank
again. I
you.
know you had no idea, and
No,
we
in fact,
tried
I
real hard.
spilled something on my shirt, and I was like, I'm not getting up at all tonight.
And
And
you
Sharon
were-
they looked at me like, oh, yes, you are. But I had no idea. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, so last board meeting of the school year. So this Friday is high school graduation. So that starts at 6 o'clock and the weather's looking fantastic. On Thursday, which is June 15th, our 8th graders will be promoted to the high school, and that will be also at 6 o'clock. A couple of other things that I want to mention, some great news at the end of the school year. On May 25th, 28 of our seniors were at Ocean County College earning their associate's degree, even before earning their high school diplomas. So that was just a fantastic ceremony. We were there, Mr. Peters was there, Mr. Zelinski was there. And it was how many cohorts have we had?
We're on cohort 7, is gonna be next year's juniors, and we've graduated over 128 kids so far,
Yeah, just fantastic.
before they got their high school diploma
Yeah.
through that program.
And they're at the ceremony at OCC, they're the first ones to get their associate's degree. So
Right, they
that's,
would line them up first.
yeah, that's really, really neat. Then last week, we had our scholarship recognition ceremony, and I think the number was 310,000 in scholarships? I thought it was.
I think it was 310.
Yeah, I think after all is said and done, we're at about 350,000. This is just the monies coming from our donors. Doesn't even include the scholarships by the universities and the colleges, so that's just amazing. We had amazing fall and spring drama presentations, so kudos to all our visual and performing arts. The concerts have been amazing. Drama performances not only at the high school, but at the elementaries as well. Athletics co-curricular had a stellar year. And so I just have to say thank you to our amazing teachers, our amazing coaches, our custodial staff, maintenance, grounds, just, you know, their efforts in keeping our schools beautiful. And I think we're just about ready to take a breath and get ready for the next school year because we have a lot of work to do this summer. Unfortunately, I think it's because of the way this board meeting fell and the fact that we're doing it on Monday instead of Thursday, and that's because of middle school. We didn't get a chance to recognize our Ocean County Math League winners, but I did want to mention their name, and we'll be sure to have them back in September. So at Mill Pond,
We have fifth grade second place winners, and I will give you the list if you want to make any comments. Ethan Sosa, Gabriella Toner, Ryan Sabelshik, Vaughn Sloda, and Jackson Sager. So a round of applause to them because that's just fantastic. And then at the middle school in eighth grade, placing fourth place was Joey Schinder, Jordan Reed, Gianni Montalcalvo, Alexander Riley, and Landon Klein. And Merrill Costa sent us an email asking us if we would recognize those students, and we'll be sure to have them in September. But congratulations to all of them. Yep, fantastic. And so we also don't have our staff members of the month. We did May last month, and we ending the school year with 2 more staff members. So even though they're not here, I'm going to ask Mr. Lytle to play their video. But our 2 staff members of the month for June are Joe Ramo, who's our food service director. And I'm looking at Tim up there because Tim facilitates our committee along with board members and teachers and parents. Joe was nominated by 7 of his colleagues. And the one statement that stands out for me is one of them said, "I'm nominating Joe because he is a hardworking and caring person. He always comes to work with a smile on his face, no matter what he is dealing with, either at home or at work." And Joe is one of those people that just goes above and beyond. We just had our Ocean County College recognition breakfast at the high school, at the cafeteria, and the spread that he put out for the kids, and he uses real tablecloths and real dishes, and one of the parents commented that it was just so awesome to drink coffee out of a real mug instead of paper. So it's the little things, and that's what kind of person Joe is. He just goes the extra mile. So we're gonna play his video in a moment. And then the second person that was nominated was Michelle Stillman. Michelle Stillman is one of our secretaries, and she most recently serves as a secretary for our guidance department. It's one of our most highest traffic areas, and she is the one who was the behind-the-scenes person for our scholarship night, and so I can't think of a more deserving person. So congratulations. So let's play their video.
All right, here we are at the high school, getting ready to celebrate another staff member of the month. Come on, let's go. Hello, everybody. I have an announcement to make. Each month, a staff member is nominated and selected to be a staff member of the month, and I'm happy to announce that this month's staff member of the month is Mrs. Stillman.
Michelle, we love so many things about you. I love that there is nothing that you can't do and how warmly you greet us as a team and all of the students in the high school.
Michelle, I love that I am able to annoy you every single day, and you always do it with a smile.
Michelle, I love your smile because of the fact that that's the first thing I get to see in the morning.
Michelle, I love your sense of style too, but you are awesome. You're so helpful, so thank you for everything.
Stillman, you always make me laugh every single day. We have tons of work to do, and at the end of everything we do, it always ends with humor and joy, so thank you. We appreciate you.
Michelle, I love your friendship, and thank you for always being there for me.
Michelle, I love that you are always willing to help with anything, any project and guidance, and you do it with a smile and a sense of humor, and you make us all laugh and just feel like everything is going to be okay because Michelle is taking care of it.
All right, we have another staff member of the month here at the high school. Come on in, let's go to the cafeteria. All right, let's have everyone's attention, please. Everybody, we nominate a staff member of the month. This month's staff member is Mr. Rainbow. get this one out to everybody that works for me, all the kitchens. I greatly appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Joe is very strong and
Very helpful.
Kind,
He's always looking out for the kids and his staff.
yes. Without Joe, we couldn't get anything
yeah.
done.
He keeps us all together.
He's the best.
He does. He is the best.
So we will make sure that they get their plaques. So congratulations, very, very, very well deserved. Okay, so just a couple of other things that I want to share. Talking about Ocean County College, I just received this letter. I'm going to read it from Dr. Sheena Hardigan, who's the Executive Director of Enrollment Services at Ocean County College. It says, "Dear Dr. Pereira, congratulations on the impending completion of another academic year. I want to take this time to thank you for your district's partnership with Ocean County College through the Early College Program. Through this collaboration, your students have the opportunity to take classes for college credit while they're still in high school." So that's what I just finished talking about. "Due to taking part in this program, the families and students that participated in your district saved $693,000 in the 2022-23 academic year." So that's huge. "I hope that you'll honor these students at graduation and mention the savings that your students and parents were able to achieve due to the district's participation. Congratulate your district on taking advantage of this partnership between Lacey Township and Ocean County College, and look forward to continuing to work with your schools in the 23-24 academic year." So that's one of the many, many advantages of this program, and the list goes on, and we are very proud to have had it over the years.
And I believe we were the first school in Ocean County to do this.
And there's still no other district that is doing it like us. And I have to give kudos to Mr. Zielinski, because this was his brainchild back in the day. And he's the one that brought it to us and grew the program to what it is to this day. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zielinski.
Okay, a couple more things, and then I will be done with my comments, but I do want to share this letter that I received from Bayside Chapel. These are just the little things that we don't always talk about and celebrate, because there's just always so much going on, but this is worth sharing. So I received this letter. It was also addressed to Mr. King. It says, "Dear Mr. King, together with my wife, Pat, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you about the tireless efforts of one of your students, Grayson Matthews. Grayson's teacher, Mrs. Joanne Yax, is a member of Bayside Chapel in Barnegat, and together we traveled to Israel this past December. While there, we met a man named Bashar, who served as our tour guide. Bashar had been collecting water bottle caps to facilitate donations of wheelchairs for a special needs group in Jordan. In January, we decided to continue the bottle cap collection here in the U.S. to aid Bashar in his efforts. Thanks to Grayson, his family, the Lacey Township community, the Wawa in Lenoka Harbor, and many at Bayside Chapel, we have collected nearly 20,000 water bottle caps. Our original desire was to send them to Jordan. When donations reached 5 figures, it became clear that finding a local organization would be a more fiscally sound choice. As of this writing, we are moving toward donating water bottle caps collected to an organization that provides prosthetics to those in need. On behalf of those who will benefit from this selfless act of time, energy, and talent, Grayson's mom made bags that hold caps collected at LTHS and in the local harbor community. Our thanks and appreciation to Grace and Mrs. Yax and those at LTHS for being other-minded for the benefit of others. So just a very positive, feel-good story. And last but not least, I just received an email from Mr. Olander, who is our Director of Choral Music, and he asked me to recognize our Select Choral Ensemble. It says, "Congratulations to our Select Choral Ensemble, as we had lots and lots of success last week. As a result of earning the title of winner at the Ocean County Teen Arts Festival for Large Choral Ensemble, we attended the State Teen Arts Festival at Middlesex County College. There, we earned the title as Distinguished, the highest honor to be awarded. We also received a superior rating at the Trills and Thrills Music Festival at Toms River. Please acknowledge our choir at the next Board of Ed meeting. We have so much to be proud of." So, and he included some photos. So, good stuff. Great way to end the school year.
Lacey Minute.
Oh, and we have a Lacey Minute. Yes, let's end the school year with a Lacey Minute. Thank you. so that concludes our Lacey Minute for the school year. We'll take a hiatus till September, and then we will restart our Lacey Minute. That concludes my comments.
Perfect. And before we turn it over to the public comments, we have a spotlight on graduates tonight. This month's spotlight on graduates is John Slota. John graduated from Lacey High School in 1998. He was a member of DECA and played football, basketball, and baseball at Lacey High. After graduating Lacey, he attended Belmont Abbey College in North Carolina, achieving a degree in Bachelor of Arts in Education in 2002. He then went on to Pfeffer University, I hope I pronounced that correctly, to achieve his Master of Arts teaching in 2005. Most impressive is that John went on to receive his doctorate of philosophy in education in 2010 from Capella University. Matt worked as a teacher, dean of students, assistant principal in the elementary, middle, K through 8 levels within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District in Charlotte, North Carolina. Presently, Matt is the principal at Winding Springs Elementary School in that same district with a school population of approximately 750 pre-K through 5th grade students. He is being awarded the Distinguished Principal of the Year 2023 for the state of North Carolina, presented by the North Carolina SHAPE, which means North Carolina Society of Health and Physical Education. Matt credits many teachers in the Lacey school system in his educational trek, most specifically Mrs. Bridget Clayton Lewis in elementary school and the late Ron Big Cat Andrews in high school. Matt lives in Belmont, North Carolina with his wife Dana and 2 sons, Nathan, 13, and Luke, 10. His father, John Slota, is one of Lacey's retired police officers, and his mom, Deborah, are longtime residents of Forked River. We would like to congratulate Matt on his educational career, making a difference in so many lives, and for his well-deserved award as the, quote, Distinguished Principal of the Year, 2023. Good job, Matt. Congratulations.
President Down.
Yes.
Last meeting I was supposed to do student
You have
spotlight,
one?
but I wasn't here and I brought
Okay,
it
go
to do it
ahead.
tonight. Do you mind?
Yep, no, not at all.
The student's a graduate of Lacey Township High School class of 2017. During her time at Lacey High School, she was a member of the STEM program and National Honor Society basketball and volleyball teams. Upon graduating, she attended University of Delaware, majoring in sports management. During her time in Delaware, she interned in the football team and was a sister at the Alpha Zeta Theta sorority, and graduated in 2021 cum laude. Did I say that correct? Cum laude honors. Post-undergrad, she became marketing and events manager for Tackle What's Next, a sports consulting business that connects retired professional athletes with a community with life after sports. In 2023, she completed her master's degree in sports industry management from Georgetown University and began working as a sales associate for the New Jersey Devils. She plans to continue building her career in professional sports, utilizing the unique platform that sports offers to connect fans and communities. And her name is Olivia Peters, my daughter.
Congratulations to Olivia and to you and to your wife. Okay, we're going to move into board comments, public comments now. An audience member wishing to make a comment will raise his or her hand, and when called upon, state their name, address, or affiliation and intention to make a statement. Comments will be addressed to the board president. Comments will be made one issue at a time. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes. No audience member shall be recognized twice until all who have wished to comment have been recognized. This portion of the meeting is for public comments only. The purpose of this board meeting is to perform our business in public. Everyone is entitled to a public comment. If there is a question for the board, there is an established chain of command to follow. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment at this time? Mr. Scanlon?
Ed Scanlon, Barnegat Pines. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Downing on a well-deserved award.
Thank you.
And I had the pleasure of being with you on the board, and I know your leadership is, well, has no equal.
Thank you.
And thank you. made my 3 years easy. I just wanted to mention, we're talking about people who go above and beyond, and students who succeed. We had Special Olympics over the weekend, and Mrs. Risden is the Special Olympics coach, and she was there both days with the kids. Jen Meehan drove on Saturday, Mr. Jim drove on Sunday. I'm sure Mr. Jim has the last name, but I don't know it. I just only know him as Mr. Jim. The school district, of course, supplied the bus, which was very good. Kids did very well. They succeeded in a whole variety of track and field events. I was there on Sunday, and it really is an amazing thing to see. I mean, any high school athletic event can be amazing, but when you see the different children with the different special needs that they have out there competing, it's quite heartwarming. Anyway, so, and of course, Jacob's aide, Debbie Shanique, she was there on Saturday. And these people do this, some of it's volunteer work on their part. They're there when they don't have to be. I just want to acknowledge them and acknowledge the success of the children. Thank you.
Thank you. And I saw on social media your grandson got a first place medal? He got a medal, right? 2 medals. Wow. Good for him. Congratulations. Are there any other comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move into board committee reports. Would you like to start, Mr. Peters?
Absolutely. We had our facilities meeting. We had, some of you are aware of this or not, but I'll let you know. We have a company that we signed a contract with called Synergistics. And what they do is they monitor our usage in the building. They guarantee us a certain percentage back that we get, and if we don't hit that number, they'll actually reimburse us part of that number back. So they're monitoring electric, they're monitoring gas, they're monitoring different utilities going on. They have control of our thermostats. They can turn them up and turn them down when needed. And the gentleman that we finally met him, he's a part-time guy. He's actually a facilities manager up north, works for this company Synergistics at night. So he has access to all the buildings at night and weekends to come in and monitor the schools, what's happening. He can also do it at home from his computer. He can't turn lights off and stuff like that, but he can go through and adjust the heat and whatnot. So if we have an event going on here tonight, we're gonna lower the air a little bit tonight, but then afterwards it's gonna be back to the normal setting. So very happy with meeting him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what type of discounts we get. The only problem that he foresees is, and he's working on these numbers for us, if we look at our numbers from last year, correct, and we look at our numbers this year, we need to keep in mind that we replaced boilers in schools, and the efficiency level is much higher efficiency level. You can't compare apples to oranges there. We want to compare apples to apples. So they're working on a number right now and a percentage to see what the efficiency rating is on that actual unit, so we can determine how much we're actually saving there. Because you can't say, you used $10,000 in February of last year, but guess what? It's running at 70% efficiency now, this unit. So we're working on numbers for that.
And can I just, Mr. Romano is our employee, not Synergistics.
Correct.
Can't say.
Did I say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just wanted to make
My
it clear,
apologies.
he's our employee, yeah.
We talked about he's a part-time employee for
Right.
us that we hired, that was part of the contract. We knew that we had to pay his salary. The facilities director talked about the alarm update. The STEM room project we discussed. The demolition is complete. They did find out, unfortunately, we have some old chemical wash stations in there that when they went through the building, they didn't think they'd have to replace them, but they're rotted in the, if you're changing the whole room, you might as well change the emergency eye wash stations also. Continuing education, Mr. Smith, which is our facilities director, he's getting different certifications so he can apply chemicals here. We don't have to subcontract out for weed control and bug control. the rear of Lenoka Harbor has some potholes that need to be filled, the infamous wrestling room. So, this has been an ongoing subject. I'm surprised we don't have anybody here, but that's okay. Where we're at now is the wrestling team and the local wrestling club has asked us for solid numbers so we can bring that room up to code so they can get it back and they can wrestle in there. They want to do fundraising, so we asked the architect to do it. Me being construction, I was told that he specifically bids a little bit high so the school can budget the right amount for that and not get burned at the end if there's a problem at the end of the job. Well, I feel he went crazy high, almost $500,000 to do this, and $56,000 of it was for fees to monitor the job and submit permits for taking down 3 walls and putting up a new HVAC unit. So we're gonna do some more research on this and work on that.
Skip, can I jump in?
Sure.
Comment on that? I spoke to Ms. Sylvia today, if you want to jump in too. So from what they're asking for and what we asked for in Finance Committee, was it like a detailed list of what they need so they can start their fundraising? I guess at this point, we have a general idea that they gave us, but until we get the architect plans completed and submitted, the actual detailed list it's not really possible. So even though they want an HVAC unit and ductwork, we don't know the size. We don't know, if it's just for their room or if it's for another room as well. If it's just for them fundraising, then the plan should be just for their room. If we're gonna go through the grant, which we don't know until August, then it should include maybe the hallway and the other room. So until this is submitted, we can't get that list for them, if that's what I understand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Sylvia? Okay. So even though it's a general idea, it's really not 100% clear on what they need to fundraise for, specs and everything, if that makes sense.
Right, so let me just add, I had a conversation with Coach Bonatitis and Athletic Director Del Vento. We have a meeting with them next Tuesday, so we can share that general list and then come up with a plan on how we might get more specific. One of the things that I mentioned was that, yes, we do have the ROD grant submitted. We won't know until August. And if it turns out that we are awarded the ROD grant, and one of those needs that we submitted was C Hall here at the high school does cover that area if we decide that that is the route we go and we can fund the 60%, then that's one thing that comes off of their list. And we're not just servicing that area, we're servicing the entire hallway. Then they would only have to fundraise for everything else, very much like the Friday night lights on the football field. So we will meet with them on Tuesday. I told them that bring whoever you wanted to sit at the table with us. But this is at least a starting point. Maybe not exactly what we're looking for, but a starting point nevertheless. So that's what our next steps will be.
We also had, are you done?
I am.
We also had a discussion on the air quality test performed throughout the district. Had a discussion about that. We talked about the new updated walking zone map down behind Walmart. We reduced that a little bit, so more students will be picked up and not have to walk. And that was it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peters. Kim, Mrs. Claus, do you want to do yours? I'm going to be doing 2, so.
Sure.
Policy?
Yep, policy. So it was myself, Mrs. Armato, Mr. Conity, and Dr. Pereira. It was a very short meeting. It was 30 minutes because we had an award ceremony to go to. We have nothing on the agenda tonight for first read, only second read, but we did discuss a few things. We discussed policy 5756, transgender students. Our board attorney, Bruce Padula, phoned in. and provided the committee with an overview of current litigation related to this policy. He also shared proposed changes for us that other districts are considering. So we discussed that. Nothing for co-curricular, safety and security, LTASA, nothing. Under other, we did discuss RBT and BCBA proposal. Dr. Pereira reviewed the plan to hire a BCBA and train our own paraprofessionals to become trained RBTs, which I believe is on everybody's agenda. And we also discussed the grading policy and safety net. Dr. Pereira led a discussion about the current grading policy, and we'll be discussing that again next month. So we did make changes last year, so we'll see if we're going to be making changes again this year. And that's all I have. It was quick.
Thank you. I'm going to report on curriculum. We met on June 6th, Mrs. Amato, Mr. Polino, and myself, and we talked about the field trip. Mr. Zielinski led a discussion. He gave us a list that will be edited as we all have a chance to look at the list of field trips that the school district is allowed to go on. Mr. Zielinski also informed the committee that our high school has met all of the requirements as a certified, quote, no place for hate school. So that's a good thing. Mr. Zielinski conducted a mini workshop on teacher evaluation. I think Mrs. Amato appreciated that. She had a lot of questions about how teachers are evaluated. So Mr. Zielinski did a great job in a short period of time trying to get across all that's involved in teacher evaluations. The committee is currently working on a replacement for the outdated AP U.S. history textbook. We were presented with one and we did not like it, so the committee, and Tim, you were part of that, right? Gave us a second book to review. We talked about, Mr. Zielinski provided the committee with an update about our preschool expansion. Our preschool registration resulted in over 230 registered students. Letters to all families will be mailed out in the coming weeks. And then today, was today your meeting on creative curriculum? Mm-hmm. At 5 o'clock. And I saw several people walking in for that.
17 families show up.
Very good. So the preschool is a really hot item right now. There's a lot of interest, and it looks like if we get the grant, fingers crossed, it looks like we're going to be able to do our first phase easily, right? Mr. Zielinski also highlighted that we have graduated over 100 students in the college, Ocean County College Academy, which we talked about earlier. He also led a discussion that we're going to be increasing our advanced offerings for 6th grade. With the move to the middle school, the 6th grade will be able to take advantage of the course offerings that exist at the middle school, including advanced classes, which is really good. Advanced classes in ELA and mathematics. Our summer enrichment program is going to be run from July 10th through August 10th. We have over 300 registered, which is about 15% increase over last year. And he highlighted the summer enrichment is at an all-time high. Let's see. Special Education, Special Education Advisory Committee, SEAC, met on May 30th. They set goals for the 23-24 school year to promote and improve inclusion of special education students within the areas of instruction, individual building culture, activities, and extracurricular activities. And this was one of our goals, our board goals, is to have more inclusivity, if I said that right, of special ed with regular ed students. Next step is they're going to have the SEAC Leadership Committee and the CPAG, that's the parents group, leadership, meet to align and include the parent perspective in all the objectives they have set forth. Nothing under, just Mr. Zielinski provided the committee with an update to the use of Informacast, part of our technology. And then we talked about all the programs coming up. So it was a busy meeting. But again, we also had someplace to go that night, some activity. There's a lot going on at this time of year. Yeah. And very quickly, I'm going to report for Mr. Polino. He could not be here tonight. on finance. Finance consisted of Mr. Polino, Mrs. Claus, myself, Dr. Pereira, and Mrs. Sylvia. We talked about the STEM room project update, which you already discussed, the Forked River roof project update, grant committee update, our Jason Bedell, our assistant VA, has been working real hard on getting grants, and there's several that we have already gotten, and a couple of real high stake ones that we're hoping. Keep your fingers crossed. Mrs. Sylvia led a discussion on the need to appropriate fund balance in order to meet the current school year obligations. That's on the agenda for tonight. We also discussed the preliminary insurance quote that came in for property, liability, auto, and error and omissions coverage. Let's see. As Mr. Peters said, we also talked about the walking zone, the updated walking zone map. Also, this is a great thing, Seabreeze community bus usage. They're using one of our buses to stuff the bus. And from what I understand, you're collecting items for school supplies? For Lacey, and they're gonna stuff the bus with all these supplies and donate them to our students. So thank you so much. Very great. Is that your idea?
Well, with the group, where Seabreeze Cares is a group that we have, and we try to do, we work with the Lacey Food Bank and other things. We're doing a blood drive in August, so we try to do something every month.
Well, this is much needed and appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for approving it.
Oh, our pleasure. Okay, and I think that's it. Just also graduation this Thursday for middle school and this Friday for our high school, and it looks like the weather is gonna be really good. Okay. You have
One more
anything?
for my comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, just two more things. So I wanted to congratulate you on 30 years of service to this Board of Education.
I wish I had known I could have been home and changed.
And then the second thing is, and it's fortuitous that he's here, but Mr. Dowd is recently become Dr. Dowd.
Hey,
Just earned his
congratulations.
doctorate, so,
That sounds good, Dr. Dowd.
It does. It is nice. So Dr. Dowd and I have had lots of conversations on his work and defending his dissertation, and we all cheered him on. So it's a huge accomplishment, and I know the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, because it took me 5 years to earn my own. So kudos to you, and I know we have a couple of other administrators among the ranks that are working on their doctorates as well, so we'll see. We'll cheer them on now, right, Tim? Because now you have so much time on your hands. So congratulations. Okay,
That's it? Okay, so we'll go on to board member comments. We'll start with you, Sal, down at the end,
Okay.
please.
For me, this is a proud moment in the Amato family's lives as we congratulate the 2023 graduating classes, both the 8th grade class and the high school class. My family has one graduating from the 8th grade, my son Vito, and my son Rocco is graduating from the high school. Very proud of them, love them very much, and I'm very excited for what the future holds for them. As for me personally, over 20 of my basketball players are graduating from either the 8th grade group or the high school group. Out of those boys, I would say over 80% of them were just recognized as honor roll students and scholarship recipients. So very proud of the work that these boys put in, not only on the basketball court, but in their academic careers. I've coached these boys from the 3rd grade to the 8th grade and watched them flourish in high school, and now some of them going to college to play ball, and some of them now going to high school. Well, all of them now going to high school from the 8th grade class, so very excited. Words can't express how proud I am of each and every one of these young men. So it should be an emotional 2 days for me this week. The 8th grade dance, my son, as I said, graduated from the 8th grade dance. Graduated from the 8th grade, and we had the honor to check out the middle school. And Mr. Brandes invited us into the middle school, and the 8th grade formal was a smashing success. Mr. Brandes was kind enough to invite Cheryl and I in for a tour, and we were floored. Really, when I say that, we were floored. It was magnificently managed. It was spotless. It had so many fun things for the boys and girls to do. In a district where so much negativity seems to be the headline, I thought it was appropriate tonight to recognize our staff over at the middle school for just a wonderful job that the boys and girls had at the middle school for their 8th grade formal. So congratulations to all of them. And then finally, congratulations to Linda Downing. I can't say that we started out as friends, but I can tell you over now, going into my 2nd year as a board member, we've grown to respect each other, work with each other. Yesterday's yesterday, and the future looks bright under her leadership. So thank you for embracing me. Thank you for accepting me. And working with you has always been a pleasure. From even when we were having our differences, we still managed to stay focused on task. So thank you for that, and congratulations
Thanks.
for so many years of service.
Thank
That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. O'Mara.
Well, as a mom first, I'm very excited that, as Sal said, my son is graduating 8th grade and my other son is graduating high school. And it will be an emotional next few days. But I want to congratulate all the parents and all the students of the middle school and high school graduating class of 2023, plus all the OCC graduates. That's phenomenal. And I actually wish my son participated in that, and he did it. So I'm very happy for those parents who saved all that money. That's fantastic. They all did it. They have a bright future ahead. And whether they're headed to high school, college, trade school, workforce, or the military, I wish them all happiness and the best of luck. And also hats off to Mr. Brandes and the staff and volunteers of the middle school. They decorated that hallway and the gym. It was beautiful. They transformed the entire middle school. I know my son and his friends had a great night. The DJ was great. And personally, I look forward to this week and the graduation and the prom. And I just wish both classes of 2023 good luck and a great summer for everybody. And congratulations.
Thank you. Kim?
Sure. It's actually more of the same, so I'll keep mine short. But yeah, congratulations. I'm looking forward to Thursday night and Friday night. Also wanted to thank the volunteers for Project Graduation. I know it's a big undertaking every year. They have a huge turnout. The kids come, they stay overnight, keeps them entertained so they're not out partying the night of the graduation. And we appreciate the boosters. Who runs that? PTA?
Yeah.
No, the Lacey Alliance, isn't it?
Municipal?
No, PTA.
No, I think it's the PTA.
PTA runs that.
Well, thank you for them. PTA? Yeah, and it's very helpful for our community. So if you're on the PTA, thank you very much. And spread the word. And I'm so excited to see Stuff the Bus. It's something new that we've never had. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes in. Thank you very much for organizing that, and we could really use the supplies, so thank you. And last but not least, Linda Downing. I always say she's the glue that holds us together, so I'll say it again, and we appreciate everything you do. You keep us calm, moving forward, and
Thanks.
So glad to have you here. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. Mr. Peters?
Do we have a date yet for Self the Bus?
Yes.
July 16th?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I attended also the graduation ceremony at Ocean County College. 28 students graduated. It was just really nice to see that knowing that they're graduating with a 2-year degree before they get their high school diploma. And I was told by Mr. Zielinski that they actually hang on to that degree until they get their high school diploma. Then they give them their college degree. They got an empty envelope. But anyway, it was nice to see that kids are graduating college before they graduate high school. Mr. Dowd, Dr. Dowd, excuse me. DD, congratulations. Congratulations on that, and congratulations to all the graduates. I will be at middle school on Thursday night, but unfortunately, we have a future, hopefully Lacey, what's the word I'm looking for, champion, Luke Fernandez. Lacey graduate, his mom works in the front office. Will be fighting his second UFC fight pro down at the Hard Rock on Friday night in Atlantic City. And unfortunately, I bought tickets a long time ago, and I'm not missing it. So I'm a big fan and supporter of his. The kid works his butt off, and he'll have his second pro fight. His first pro fight was in Philly a few months back, and it's his second pro fight. So he's undefeated. He's 7-0. So, but that's about it.
Thank you. And I don't want to be, did I get everybody? Yeah. Okay, I don't want to be redundant. A lot of the things were already said, but I do want to congratulate all the graduates, the middle school on Thursday night, and we have some students that are going to be going to PAA for high school or MATES, and what was the law one?
Public law and safety.
Public law and safety. Some will be going there, so I want to wish them a lot of luck in their new school. The high school students, it was such a pleasure to sit there and watch all the scholarships. We had like 310,000 that we think, or maybe plus that, and to see the amount of students on that stage. I believe it was 148 students, something like that on the stage. But, and the way it was done this year at the high school, it was a beautiful ceremony. As a parent, I would have been crying. As I said in my words to all the parents before the students got their scholarships, I told the students, make sure you give your mom a big hug because they're going to need it. It's a very emotional week. So I just want to congratulate, and I want to thank all of you for this surprise. And when I looked up and saw my family sitting there, it's like all together, everybody in one spot. It was like, what's that? And then my fiance sitting there too, like, what's going on? So, and then when I saw Mr. Startup, all of a sudden, and then Mr. Morandi, what did you, he almost, I'm like, what are you doing here?
Snuck in.
And Mr. Scanlon being here, so thank you all. It was really sweet of you. 30 years goes fast, but there's not going to be another 30, I can guarantee. So, okay, let's move on to new business.
Yeah.
Okay?
Very big agenda.
Okay, give me 1 minute to get my... Yeah, my cheat sheet. That's it. Okay. Okay, I need a motion. Number 1, meeting minutes.
Motion, Peters?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Could I have a motion for number 2 and 3, list of bills and final bill list and transfers?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sorry. Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
I have to abstain on bills number 995337, 955340, 955343. Those bills I have to abstain from, yes, and all the others.
Thank you.
Okay, could I have a motion for items number 4 and 5, budget transfers and S1701 reporting?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Could I have a motion for items 6 through 18? If you just give me a minute, I would like to read them. Transfer of unexpended appropriations and/or excess revenue to capital reserve. Transfer of unexpended appropriations and/or excess revenue to maintenance reserve. Fund balance appropriation. Sale of solar renewable energy credits. Receipt of bids and awards of contract for roof repair at Forked River School. Transfer of funds from capital reserve. Receipt of bids and award of contract for lease purchase financing. A resolution for execution and delivery of a master equipment lease purchase agreement. Lacey Township ESEA Consolidated Grant. 2022 Elementary and Secondary Education Act grant-funded salaries. Am I almost done? Yeah. Every Student Succeeds Education Act Consolidated Grant Final Report. Lacey Township IDEA grant, basic and preschool final report, and number 18, cooperative purchase of supplies for the 23-24 school year. Could I please have a motion?
Motion?
Second, Peters.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes, and I have to abstain on A.
No, you're good.
No, I'm good, sorry. Thank you. Okay, page 12, items 19 through 28. This is facilities and insurance. Toilet room facilities, approval of asbestos management services, approval of pest management services, appointment of insurance brokers, membership in the New Jersey School Insurance Group, property and casualty insurance premiums, prescription insurance premiums, dental insurance premiums, student and a la carte prices for the 23-24 school year, and award of contract for delivery of food service commodities. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Second?
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Number 29 through 40, pages 16 through 19. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion?
I'll second it, Peters.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Okay, the next items, 41 through 45, transportation. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Second?
Thank you. Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, I need to abstain on A43, transportation to regional day school.
Thank you. Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Items 46 through 53, annual adoptions. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Second?
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, so I have a question on 48. The tax shelter annuities,
Yeah.
we have 7 different advisors for that?
Yes.
7?
Yes. It's just options for the employees to be able to put their money in different companies.
Okay. And they take a percentage of their fee, or do we charge the fee?
Neither.
What's that?
Neither.
Okay.
Where are we?
We are, yeah, Mrs. Downing, I need your vote.
Okay, I'm going to abstain on number 47 and yes for the rest. Okay,
Thank you.
welcome. Items 54 through 67, purchasing.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Items 68 through 82, pages 28 through 36, professional services. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion?
I'll second, but I have a discussion, please.
Sure.
For 71, so if we approve this, is it for 1 year, or can we have someone else come in half year if we bid it? Like, do we have to use this person for a whole year if we approve it tonight, or can we end it early if we want to, or, I'm just asking, because it's a contract.
Oh, legally, you could end it early. It depends on the wording of the contract, so we'll make sure we look at it, but you could select.
Okay,
who you want if you
so
want
can we
to
do
make
that?
Go out for an RFP
Yeah.
process.
Okay, and that's with all contracts, or just the ones that we, okay.
All contracts.
Yep, okay, good. That's it.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, so items 68 through 82, we have
We have motions.
motions, okay.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, no, number 71.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Okay, items 83 through 92, other. Could I have a motion, please? Sorry.
83 to what, Mrs. Downing?
83 to 92, pages 36
The 38.
I'll
to
make that motion.
38. 36 to 38.
I just
I'll
need
second.
a second. Thank you.
Sorry, I was reading.
I have a conversation on 88.
88?
Yeah, I'm just, so the Lacey Township Recreation Center, is that are they using our facilities or something?
Number 88, Sal? That's
Yes.
extended school year.
Yeah, but why is the Lacey Township Recreation involved? First, maybe I'm missing
So,
something
and
here.
this isn't new, they do work our ESY program. I don't even know how many years they've been doing it, but
Okay.
it does happen year after year after year.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
You're
Just
welcome.
clarification.
yeah.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Okay, item 93, policies and regulations. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Items 94 through 95, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion Peters?
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. B, donations. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Thank you very much, and yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes, and thank you again.
Mr. Peters?
Yes, and thank you.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes, on behalf of the entire district, thank you very much. Okay, almost done. C, professional days, workshops, and travel. Page 40, can I have a motion? Just at the top.
I'll move.
Okay.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. D, certificated personnel, items 1 through 17.
We just have to table number 5.
Okay, table number 5.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please. We're going to vote on items, item D, 1 through 17, but we're abstaining on number 5.
We're tabling.
Tabling, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
I'm abstaining on number 6, and yes with all the others. Okay? Okay. Where are we here? E.
Page 45.
Yeah. I lost my sticky. My sticky's gone. Okay, E, non-certificated personnel, items 1 through 13, please.
I'll move.
Is there a
Second.
Sal? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Armato?
Yes.
Mr. Armato?
Yes.
Mrs. Claus?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Downing?
Yes. Is there any walk-on?
No.
Okay. Then could I please have a motion
Motion
to close the meeting?
Peters.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. All right.
See you soon.
Thanks, Bruce.